Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at wagertalk.com, and all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome into the NFL opening line report for week 18 of the NFL season. Last week here of the regular season, which makes this arguably the most important opening line report of the season. I am Drew Martin, joined by Teddy Covers each and every week, 10 a.m. Pacific time, right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Shout us out in the chat box. Without further ado, Teddy Covers, welcome in, buddy. Happy Monday morning to you.
And don't you guys worry out there. When the playoffs start, we'll still do opening line report every week. Talk about the playoff openers, talk about what just happened, talk about what we expect to see for line movements. And in recent years, Drew, you and I have been doing an opening line report all through the spring into the summer. We talk about the NFL lines when the future book lines for NFL and college football. We talk about when all the lines open for week one. So even though this is the final week of the NFL regular season that we're talking about right here, opening line report goes on.
Oh, absolutely, guys. It will go on. And if you're watching on replay, feel free to drop a line below in the comment section. Teddy, we got a special request here. This is the only week we're going to be doing it. This is obviously the NFL opening line report, but we got a pretty important game in college football. You can almost call it the minor leagues of the NFL here. Georgia and Alabama national championship game, January 10th. Prime time here. We're seeing Georgia opening the minus 2-point favorite in this game. Indianapolis neutral field, I guess we can call it. -3 right now is what we're seeing at the Wager Talk odds screen. 52 being the total. Opening line report style for college football national championship game. Georgia Bulldogs, Alabama Crimson Tide. For it all, Teddy, where do you see this line moving?
Sure. So a couple of things. First, I need to apologize because last week I did not get into the comments on YouTube. I know a lot of you guys post comments on YouTube, and just every week all year I got in, and this past week there was just so much going on. I was so busy, and unfortunately I didn't get into it. I will get into the comments this week, probably today if things go right. So please put your any questions or comments you have. Drew and I do get in there to answer them. Both in the chat and on YouTube. So I apologize for not getting that done last week. I also apologize. I didn't write down the name of the guy that asked me to do an opening line report for the national title game. I apologize, but I did see your tweet and it did make sense. This one's real simple to talk about. All right. The look ahead line for Georgia, Alabama. This is before the championship games where the semifinal games were played, was Georgia -1. After the games were played, Georgia -2.5, and now we're seeing basically threes across the board. I do not expect this line to move off of 3. It's going to be locked in at Georgia -3 between here and kickoff. I would expect maybe we see something day of the game, but it looks right now pretty clear this line's sitting at 3 and it's not going anywhere. No urgency for Georgia, Alabama.
Interesting take there, Teddy. I thought the 3, it might hang around for a little bit, and then people would buy on Nick Saban with extra prep time, plus the 3 and the better quarterback. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Totals-wise, 52. Do you see this? I mean, last time Alabama kind of lit up the Georgia Bulldogs defensive backfield. Do you see that happening again, or do you see this being a lower scoring game?
The betting markets are certainly expecting a lower scoring game than the first meeting. Now that Georgia's seen Alabama's passing game, they're expecting the Bulldogs to be better defensively this time around. We have seen, this totals, we've seen a little bit of over money, but nothing of any significance. And I don't see a big move on this total. 52.5 is what we're seeing right now. And I'm not anticipating a significant move off of that number.
All right, guys, let's get back to the NFL side of things. We got Monday night, January 3rd. That's tonight. We got the Monday night football game. Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers here, Teddy, -3. That's what we're seeing as the Steelers at home, -2.5. Actually, at most of the offshores, 43.5 being the total. Anything you like here, Monday night football style?
Well, this has been a huge line move over the course of the last I mean, basically, it was as the late games were ending yesterday, and the betting markets realized that Cleveland didn't really have anything to play for. All of a sudden, the money started coming out of Pittsburgh, and it hasn't stopped. The Browns were officially eliminated yesterday, and what was a Cleveland -3 is now a Pittsburgh -3. And as you mentioned, there are plenty of 2.5s out there. It is a split line as we speak. But the concept of Big Ben's final game at Heinz Field, the concept that the Steelers are still alive in the postseason and the Browns aren't, and the concept that even if Cleveland was live to make the playoffs, they're still anything but a healthy team. It's been nothing but Pittsburgh money. And now, anyone that had a +3 in their pocket on the Steelers, likely to come back and put a +3 in their pocket on the Browns. So we're going to see some buyback on this game. If you have +3 on both sides, good betting. But again, 2.5, 3. We do have a split line now. We may well have a split line all day on this one because there will be plenty of buyback for anyone that has the Steelers in their pocket at a better number than the one that's available right now.
I like it, Teddy. Guys, we got Saturday and Sunday games here. Huge shout out to the chat box. We actually got a question kind of, I guess, alluding to the college football game here, Teddy. So before we get to the OLR, want to just shout out Thomas Freeman's question. Question, Drew or Teddy, do you factor neutral site games as a road game into your handicap? Speaking of both Alabama and Georgia traveling to Indianapolis, is that a factor in your handicap, Teddy, to help one or the other?
Yeah, so one of the things that some bettors that I know do, is they throw out all the home games for bowl games. Whether it's and they just look at what a team was able to do away from home. There's an argument to be made for that. But it's not like either one of these two teams had a home road dichotomy where they were only good at home or only good on the road and couldn't cover its home favorites.
They're good everywhere.
It's not a situation where either team is likely to be affected by a neutral site environment. So in my mind, it's a non-factor for this ball.
Sure. And add on to that, Kirby Smart, the head coach for Georgia, is like a Nick Saban disciple. He's a longtime defensive coordinator for him. So you got to think in terms of travel aspects, preparing for the game. It's a lot of the same nuances, most likely. It's kind of student and teacher there. So it's a great question, Thomas. I just don't think it factors in, at least for my handicap, the site of the location. But guys, moving down to the opening line report style here. We got Saturday and Sunday games, actually a graphic here in terms of the scheduling of these games, some of them being key games on Saturday, right up there. Dan pulling the trigger. But first up, Teddy, we're going down in rotation order, 469, 470 here. Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, January 8th, Saturday, -3 or -3 in the hook. That's the Dallas Cowboys as the road favorite. We're seeing 42.5 as the total. NFC East matchup here, Teddy, on Saturday. Anything we're looking at here?
Look ahead line was Dallas -3.5 and 44.5. Of course, the look ahead lines are bettable numbers from last week. I used the numbers from the Westgate Superbook here in Las Vegas. Other books post them. The Westgate hung a 3.5 on Dallas to look ahead last week. And of course, my powering number a little bit shorter than that. And I mean, the markets right now are split 3.5. I don't know what direction it's going to move between now and kickoff. This isn't one of those goes where I can say, it's clear this number is moving up, or it's clear this number is going to, or we're going to see 3.5. I don't know. And if I don't know, I certainly don't want to put people in a position where they're locking in at potentially what's going to be a bad number. My goal with the opening line report every week, after doing this for 25 years or whatever it is, I tend to get a pretty good read as I look at the screen and I sense what happened yesterday. I can a lot of times get a good read on where the number's going to move. This isn't necessarily one of those ball games. Now, the Eagles weren't that good yesterday. They have won 7 out of 9 since their 2-5 start. The league leading rushing attack held to a season low 3.4 yards per carry, and they still found a way to win the game. And if you bet them early, they even covered the point spread for you, though they didn't cover the point spread for anyone late. Jalen Hurts after the game, quote, "The job isn't done for us. It's not done. We're not done yet." So that being said, we talk about playing for playoff positioning. I'm telling you guys, it's a non-factor across sports. Playing to get into the playoffs matters. Playing for positioning, coaches take different approaches. And players don't have playoff level intensity in a lot of these contests. Now, Dallas, as healthy as they've been all year, they did lose Michael Gallup to what looks like a season-ending injury. But it was our game plan for Dallas. With Zeke and Pollard, only 12 carries for 25 yards between them. Only 2 rushing first downs in that game. And, of course, 10 penalties for Dallas. Randy Gregory, quote, playing against the refs again, like usual. Seems like an every week occurrence. We just have to tune that out and deal with it. That's a good team. Hopefully we see them in the playoffs. Of course, that's off yesterday's defeat to Arizona. Dallas has been pretty good. Coming off a loss, Philly has been pretty good for the last 2 months. Good game. And again, where this number's going, like I said, look ahead line was 3.5. The market's split between 3 and 3.5 right now. And I'm not sure which way it's going to go.
Teddy, I like that you brought up playoff positioning and mattering because, or how much it does matter, because this next game, it brings it up. Kansas City Chiefs, Denver Broncos. The other game on Saturday, this is the afternoon slot. We're seeing Kansas City -9.5. There is a -10 out there at DraftKings, guys. 44 being the total. This is Chiefs at Broncos. And I bring it up, Teddy, the playoff positioning, because we are seeing 5 teams in the AFC sitting at 11-5 or 10-6. So I'm thinking this game actually might matter for playoff positioning for the Chiefs. How much is that factoring in? And what are your thoughts here at Mile High?
We got to doodly-oop this one, my friends. Emergency betting alert. If you like Denver, grab the +10 right now. I don't think it's going to be there. There are a couple of books that have 10s. The majority have moved to 9.5. Remember, the look-ahead line, Kansas City at Denver, KC -3, total 43.5. But the Chiefs did not clinch home field advantage. Now they're playing, they're behind Tennessee for the home field edge if they lose to Cincinnati. So when this game kicks off, Kansas City is still going to be in position where they got to win in order to have a chance at that number 1 seed to take over for Tennessee. We'll talk about the Titans a little bit later. But the 10s don't look like they're going to hold. I think this is going to go to 9.5 or lower. So if you do like Denver, and I don't, you'll look at the Broncos plus the 9.5 here. We have seen Andy Reid take it real easy some of these week 17s. But not with the number 1 seed and a bye potentially on the line. Tyrann Mathieu, after the loss yesterday, quote, you just go back to work. You don't point fingers. You don't blame coaches. You don't blame a player or a series. Just go back to work. There's something to be said for that. You keep bonding with your teammates, keep that chemistry alive, and keep believing in your coaches as well. Bad second half for KC yesterday. That can and will happen. But Denver's had a bad month. They've lost 4 of their last 5. They've got eliminated from playoff contention. Drew Lock was pretty bad again yesterday. Not that Teddy Bridgewater's been any better. And the defense, which has been carrying the Broncos, there was some quit in that defense yesterday. It was a COVID nightmare this week, and of course, after the game, the quotes were all excuses about COVID. Denver's making excuses now. That's a problem against the Chiefs team that has had a pretty good track record against the Broncos in recent meetings. That said, the +10s don't look like they're going to hold. Maybe they'll hold. Maybe the right way is to say, if you like KC, gave a 9.5 right now. But really, the markets have moved to 9.5. There's a couple of books at 10. Like I said, I'm not convinced those 10s will hold. So if you like Denver, grab it sooner, not later.
Teddy, next game's up. We're talking Sunday, January 9th here, top of the card, guys. 4-5-1, 4-5-2, Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions. Teddy, just doing the intro to this one, I'm a little bit wary because I'm checking my book here and there isn't a posted spread. And also we're seeing some limited marketplace here at the Wager Talk odds screen. So I'm just going to throw it over to you. We got Packers, Lions in the Motor City. What are we thinking here?
Yeah, only a couple of books have posted. Now, note, the look-ahead line was Green Bay -11 and 46.5. And I'm going to give you, this is important to note right here. My numbers are a pure power rating number. All right, so when I give my powering number, it's not this team's resting starters. It's not this team must wins. It's Team A's number and Team B's number, factor in the home field, and there's the powering number. So again, look ahead was 11. My powering number is 12, but obviously Green Bay clinched the number 1 seed. They are likely to be resting starters. They have not said whether they're going to be resting starters yet. The markets are assuming. There's two books that I know have a lineup for this game. They're both in Vegas. Westgate has the Lions -1 right now, total of 43. And South Point has the Packers -1.5 at 44.5. So there's a couple of books that have put up some opening numbers, but as to where this game's going to go, it's a good question. We haven't heard anything official from Green Bay about what they're going to do. If Aaron Rodgers plays, it's worth noting he's got an 18-0 touchdown to interception ratio the last 6 games and probably clinched the MVP award last night. After clinching A.J. Dillon, it definitely feels amazing. It's something we continuously work towards. We're striving toward to get that. We know how important it is to have teams come through Lambeau. Of course, this is a team that hasn't reached the Super Bowl since 2010. They've been to the NFC Championship game 4 times in the last 7 years and lost them all. It's a meaningless game for Green Bay. They may well play like it, although, the Lions, the defense had nothing left in the tank yesterday. They were -3 turnovers. They gave up 265 yards on the ground to Seattle yesterday. Dan Campbell's been pretty good at getting Detroit to bounce back off some ugly showings. We'll see what happens in Week 17. I'm not convinced that the Lions deserve to be favored, even if Green Bay sits everybody.
Staying on the Sunday card here in the NFC North Division, 4-5-3, 4-5-4, Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings. We're seeing the Vikings -3-point home favorites, 44 being the total. Kirk Cousins never seems so valuable here for the Vikings. Teddy, what are we thinking, Bears and Vikings?
Well, besides the bizarre game, I'll talk about the bizarre game plan for a minute. And then Cousins, I don't know if he's going to go, and the markets don't seem to know if he's going to go here. Look ahead line here: Minnesota -6 and 45. My powering number is the Vikings only -2. The markets, the books that have a number up on this game are at -3, total of 44.5. All of a sudden, the Bears have won 2 in a row. They won 1 with Nick Foles. They won 1 with Andy Dalton. Don't know if Justin Fields is going to go here, but it's not like that Chicago can't do anything. Dalton, our defense played unbelievable all day. They just kept giving us great field position, kept giving us good opportunity. We left some out there, but it was a big win for us. When Chicago wins by margin, they leave some out there. That's certainly a positive sign. I don't understand Minnesota's game plan last night. You have a backup quarterback in Mannion. What do you want to do? You want to give the ball to Galvin Cook 1,000,000 times. Or they give the ball to Dalvin Cook 9 rushes for 12 yards. Drop them from postseason contention. Disappointing tonight, Mike Zimmer. I didn't feel like we gave ourselves a chance to win. I don't know what Minnesota brings to the table here. I'm not convinced they deserve to be chalk over a Bears team that's playing with passion and momentum down the stretch. That being said, the markets are 3 this morning. I'm not seeing any indicator that they're going to get off 3 just yet, but that will likely depend on what happens with the Vikings QB situation this week, which here on Monday morning, we just don't know yet.
Heading from Minnesota to Miami Gardens, New England Patriots at the Miami Dolphins. Next game up. This game moved from 1 o'clock to 4:25 Eastern. Teddy, we're seeing mostly -6.5 now. That's the Patriots as the road favorite. There is a -7 out there at South Point in Las Vegas. Low total here, Teddy. 40 in Miami Gardens. What are we liking here? Pats, Dolphins in Hard Rock Stadium.
And I'm going to call this I was really debating whether an emergency betting alert this because I'm not seeing the signs that it's going to 7, and yet my spidey sense says that it might. So
yeah, I could see that.
Look ahead line here was New England -2.5, 39.5. Again, that was with the Patriots coming off back-to-back losses and with Miami still in playoff contention. Now, New England has clinched a spot, but they've not yet clinched the positioning. They still have to the battle with Buffalo for the division title. And Miami's been eliminated, so obviously the markets have moved significantly. Now, this was 5.5, 6, and last night now it's 6.5, 7, which tells me there's a decent chance the broader market moves to 7 on this ballgame. If you like the Patriots, I bet them sooner rather than later. Now, we learned something about Miami yesterday. That's not a cold weather offense, and it's not an offense that's going to work against a good defense. Points are a chore. They came in as the first team in NFL history to win 7 straight after losing 7 straight. Brian Flores after the game, anytime you don't have the performance you're looking for, you're disappointed. Worth noting, Tua got sacked 4 times. That was a season high for Dolphins quarterbacks, and that's bad news against New England. Of course, the Patriots, +3 in turnovers, 6 of 6 in the red zone against Jacksonville was pretty easy in that contest. Bill Belichick now has 20 10-win seasons as a head coach, tying Don Shula for the most in NFL history. The quote after the game from running back Damian Harris: "We got more games to play. It's as simple as that. We all believe we got something special with this team." Belichick, not a guy that historically has done anything different in week 17, this year, week 18, than in previous weeks. He's a guy that plays his starters. We saw that in the undefeated year when they won that crazy game against the Giants in the season finale. That ended up maybe costing them the Super Bowl because they were worn down. I would expect New England to be playing starters. I'm not looking, and so are the markets, obviously, with the money coming on the Patriots here. If you like New England, I bet them right away.
Good analysis there, Teddy. That would be a fun one to watch. We get Indianapolis, Jacksonville up next here, guys. 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific kick. We're seeing the Colts minus 15 in the hook or minus 16, depending where we're shopping here, Teddy. Actually, minus 15 to minus 16. 44 being the total in North Florida. We got Colts and Jags, Teddy.
Now, it's worth noting in the AFC playoff picture, okay, we have 5 teams that are locked in. There are still 2 spots available. The winner of the Chargers-Raiders game will get 1 of the 2 spots. If that game is a tie and Indy loses, they actually both get it. But the Colts likely to clinch a playoff spot next Sunday as Big Chalk in Jacksonville, which is likely to leave the winner of tonight's Steelers-Ravens game in a hard spot. That being said, whoever wins tonight, Pittsburgh or Baltimore, will be live going into kickoff for a playoff spot if Indy loses at Jacksonville, which nobody expects them to do. Look ahead line minus. That being said, week 18, well, I would say week 17 NFL, strange things happen. And strange things happen in week 18. We've never seen it in week 18 before. But it's not unusual to see major upsets this week with double-digit favorites. And of course, the look-ahead line here was only Indy minus 8.5, total 44.5. My powering number is the Colts minus 13, and the markets are, as you mentioned, minus 15.5, minus 16 on this contest. It doesn't look like it's going to get up to 17. It doesn't look like it's going to go down to 14. Hard to say what the Jags are going to bring to the table. I just talked about what New England did. The Jags were minus 3 in turnovers and allowed 6 red zone touchdowns. They came into the game missing 8 starters and 13 players, and all because of COVID. Interim head coach Darrell Bevell. There's a lot of circumstances and things that these guys are fighting through. I'm just asking them for giving their best effort at all times. That's what we're hoping for. It didn't work out for us today, no doubt. As for Indy, losing the game to the Raiders yesterday, not a surprise to this bettor. I had a ticket on Vegas in my pocket as one of my clients cashed as well. But Carson Wentz isn't any good. All right, and that's a problem. He got his only touchdown pass of the game on what should have been an interception that bounced off of 2 defenders and into the receiver's hands in the end zone. Not the guy he was throwing to, by the way. And first time all year, Indy lost a game where Jonathan Taylor rushed for 100 yards. In theory, they should be able to run the ball down Jacksonville's throat. But winning by this type of margin, let's put it this way, the must-win for Indy is most assuredly priced into this game, considering the 8.5 look-ahead and the 13 powering number on this team. There is a little bit of extra, quote-unquote, value on the Jags if you want to take it.
Yeah, talking about value here, always a tough proposition, going from one high spread to another. Actually, the highest spread on the board here, New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills. We're seeing Buffalo Bills minus 17-point home favorites here, Teddy. At most books, there is a minus 16.5, 44 being the total. So big spread, low total. Don't see it a lot in the NFL here, Teddy. AFC East matchup. What are you liking in Orchard Park, New York?
Yeah, the market's not expecting a whole lot of Jets offensive production in this ballgame. I can't say that I blame them. Look ahead line here was Buffalo minus 17, total of 45. My powering number is only 13.5 on this game, so it is much shorter than the markets. And obviously, they only need to win this game to win the division title and send the Patriots into the wild card spot. But again, one of these games with a double-digit favorite, the dog's going to win and cover. All right, I don't know which one is going to, but one of them. And certainly, look, Josh Allen stunk yesterday. All right, they ran. Buffalo ran for 223 yards, a season high. And Josh Allen still 11 to 26 for 120 yards, 26 pass attempts for 120 yards, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That came a week after a no punt, no turnover game versus the Patriots. And he wasn't sacked, so it wasn't like he was under pressure. Maybe they were a little bit flat after beating the Patriots, certainly. They did rally from a halftime deficit the first time all year. Josh Allen, not every game you win is going to be pretty, and that was the case today. I'm just fortunate to have teammates step up in big situations like this. The Jets came to play yesterday against Tampa, fought tooth and nail, came up short in the end. They had a 4th down opportunity that they went for it at the end of the ball game, and apparently there was a miscommunication as to what the play call was going to be after a timeout. Robert Saleh, we did a poor job of communicating. The handoff of Barrios would have likely been a 1st down. It just makes you sick. So unfortunately, we're going to talk about the last sequence of events there. But I thought our guys were outstanding today. They deserve better. Your question is, Jets off an almost upset win, now in a truly meaningless season finale on the road in the cold. Sometimes teams off the almost win come and battle the next week. Other times teams off the almost win for that season finale, the effort isn't there. Certainly the markets are assuming the latter right now for the Bills, a team that loves to beat up on the New York Football Jets. Then again, the Jets played a good game yesterday. If they play a good game at Buffalo this week, they'll cover this number.
Sure. Heck of a handicap here for the next couple games. We get Carolina, Tampa Bay up next, guys. 42.5 being the total. Tampa Bay Bucs at home. -8 points at most shops. There's a -7.5 at Circa in Las Vegas. We just had an interesting handicap there with the Jets and the Bills, Teddy. Now another one here, Panthers and Bucs, and we got to bring up Antonio Brown. What a way to exit the football field yesterday. Not sure that matters much here for this week's game, Teddy, but Carolina, Tampa Bay, what are we thinking here?
Yeah, I feel sorry for him. I don't feel that sorry for Antonio Brown, but the guy has mental health issues, and when that plays out on a national TV, it's embarrassing and humiliating, and I feel bad for the guy. He's not the only one dealing with mental health issues, but he's getting the spotlight the way that nobody else has done. So, that being said, it hurts the Bucs. So Green Bay clinched last night, the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
Look headline here: Tampa Bay -16.5, 43. My powering number: Tampa Bay -17.5. The markets today are sitting at 8. We haven't heard anything about Tampa, resting starters, not resting starters. They don't have the number 1 seed. In theory, they're playing for playoff positioning. But the markets, again, look ahead was 16.5. Tampa's not the number 1 seed. They don't have, what do they have to play for? I don't know what they have to play for. Positioning is what they have to play for. And the markets are saying, don't expect their A game. That said, Carolina's unbackable right now. The Matt Rule has enemies everywhere. All kinds of leaks to the press about team discontent, owner discontent, GM discontent. Remember, Rule's only 2 years into a 7-year, $62 million deal. They outbid the Giants to get him, although it's not like Joe Judge has been any better. There are a lot of people in Carolina in the locker room that are whispering. And, of course, the Panthers yesterday, 178 total yards, 3.0 yards per play. Sam Darnold was sacked 7 times. They were 0 for 1 in the red zone. They were -2 in turnovers. They still almost covered, but they didn't. Carolina's a rough team to back right now. Again, my powering number says that pretty clearly, but I have no idea what Tampa's bringing to the table. Neither the markets. That's why this line is sitting in kind of an odd range between the look-ahead line and the Packers-Lions line, where Green Bay, we know they're resting starters. We don't know that for Tampa. This line likely to jump during the week, and I don't know what way.
10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern kick for the next matchup here. Tennessee Titans, Houston Texans. We're seeing the Titans looking good yesterday, Teddy, laying -10 in the hook or -11, depending what sports book. 43 being the total. Titans at Texans, Teddy.
Yeah, Tennessee look ahead line -10 and 44. My powering number is 11.5. The market's sitting at 10.5, 11 today, and I don't, it's just bouncing between the two. I'm not seeing any urgency. It's not like 11's the number that you got to grab it before it hits 11. That's not the key number in that regard. Titans just finished with 198 rushing yards against a good run defense. They were +2 in turnovers in that game. The defense is stepping up every week. They can play cold weather football, as we saw yesterday. They won 3 out of 4 back-to-back division titles for Tennessee. Number 1 seed on the line if they can win this game. Kevin Byard, Pro Bowl safety, quote, "It's definitely good to be in this position. Usually the last game of the year, we're fighting for something anyway. It's good to go in the last game trying to fight to be this number 1 seed." Tennessee is a team I've got no interest in standing in front of right now. Count me among the Titans believers. As for the Texans, they played back-to-back wins. They played a legitimately good game 2 weeks ago. And they showed up again yesterday. There was no letdown. The defense was strong all day. The offense, though, is very, very limited. And of course, they failed at their attempt in their first 3-game winning streaks in 2018. David Culley. In the second half, we did some things we've done earlier this year to lose ball games. We didn't protect the ball. We didn't stay consistent on offense. We have some big plays on defense that we haven't been giving up. Those have been our Achilles heel all year long. I've been impressed with David Culley. I've been impressed with the Texans' effort and energy, despite the fact they have a terrible team. So a terrible offensive team, a mediocre defensive team. But for a season finale, I don't look at Houston as a team that's going to lay down, which may make this margin a little bit difficult for the Tennessee Titans to achieve. Nonetheless, Titans, they're worthy. They're not a team I'm looking to step in front of. Pass for me, probably.
NFC East battle up next, guys. Washington football team, New York football Giants. We're seeing the football team minus 6.5-point road favorites here, Teddy. 38.5 or 39 being the total. I guess we could call it a meaningless game, but it's not meaningless to sports bettors. Hopefully no opt-outs here. What are we like in football team and Giants?
Well, after what happened to Matt Corral, after what happened to the Iowa center, I mean, you can't blame these guys for opting out. If you're broke and you're a senior and you're like, okay, I can make millions of dollars, but I can play in this bowl game. You can't blame a guy for opting out. It's think about guys whose careers were ruined in their bowl game. Jake Butt, the Michigan tight end, stands out to me. Playing the bowl game probably cost him, who knows, $100 million, $10 million, don't know, a lot. That said, Washington and the Giants look ahead. Washington minus 4 and 41. My powering number is 3.5, and the markets are at 6.5 for this ball game, and or there were even some 7s last night. The 7s didn't hold. I'm not surprised. The Giants are as dead gets. Saquon Barkley had 102 yards on the ground yesterday. Giants had 161 rushing yards. And when you have 161 rushing yards, your lead back gets 102, and your quarterback is 4 of 11 for 24 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks, and 4 sacks for a net of negative 10 passing yards, it speaks volumes, about an offensive line that just can't pass block. It's a 5th straight loss for the Giants, set a season low in yards for the 2nd week in a row. They were held to 192 against Philly, just 151 yesterday. Joe Judge, everything comes under my umbrella, so I'm not going to deflect something or say I'm not responsible for something. I'm responsible for everything. Let's make that clear. Judge fighting for his job. As for Washington, they played a prideful game yesterday after getting blown out by Dallas. 9 of 15 on third downs, only 1 penalties in the ball game. Their playoff faint playoff chances ended with the defeat. 4th straight loss after winning 4 straight. Ron Rivera, interesting quote at the end of the game. Hopefully we're developing character. The important thing is how we finish. We have 1 more game to go. We go from there. So it's clear Washington's focused on this game. It's clear the Giants just want to go home. And the betting market's reacting to that, obviously, with the money coming for the football team in early betting action.
Shout out to the chat box, guys. We got Essex, England in the house, other side of the pond. Thanks for joining us. We got Chris Medina saying Giants won't score another touchdown until next year. Fun one to watch there, Washington, New York. We get New Orleans, Atlanta, rivalry game here, Teddy. NFC South, minus 4 in the hook. That's the Saints as the road favorite, 40 being the total. Downtown Atlanta, Falcons and Saints.
Yeah, the Saints are still alive. They need a San Francisco loss, I believe, to make the postseason. And San Fran, and I don't know what the tiebreakers are between the two, but they're not eliminated, which means that they're alive. And San Fran is a dog to L.A., so the Saints are very – and, of course, it's the Saints team. It's 8-3 straight up with Winston or Hill starting, 0-5 with Simeon and Book. Look at line for this ball game, Saints minus 3.5 and 42. Sorry, 42.5. My powering number is the Saints -3, but New Orleans is must win, which is why we're seeing 4s and 4.5s for this contest. And that is probably appropriate. Sean Payton, I'm talking about yesterday's game. When we hear people say must-win games, today was a must-win game. These guys understood it. They had 7 sacks yesterday. They have the potential to blow up the line of scrimmage against Matt Ryan. And the defense for Atlanta played really well yesterday. They forced 3 turnovers. They shut down Josh Allen. But the Falcons, every time they step from class, they get smacked. They're 7-2 in games decided by 8 points or less. But in games decided by 8 points or more, they're an 0 for the season. And obviously, the Saints, not a good offense by any stretch of the imagination, but defensively, they might blow up Atlanta right at the line of scrimmage. That might be a real problem for the Falcons. But from a value standpoint, again, look ahead for this game, 3.5. My powering number is 3. 2 teams haven't changed. The markets are at 4.5 for this one, but tells you there is a little bit of value, in theory, on the Atlanta side.
Next game up, guys, we get the Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens. We're seeing the Ravens -4. There's a -4.5 out there at DraftKings steady. 42 being the total. Steelers at Ravens in Baltimore.
So look ahead line was Ravens 6.5 and 42. My powering number is only Ravens 1.5 for this ball game, and it'd probably be lower if Pittsburgh wins tonight. The Ravens were outgained by a full 2 yards per play yesterday. They went 0 for 2 in the red zone, and they gave up 3 red zone touchdowns and 4 chances. Remember, this team was 8-3 and the number 1 seed in the AFC, and now they're 8-8. All right, and I know that 4 of the defeats during that span have come by a total of 5 points. The 2 games they lost on the missed 2-point conversions at the end. Obviously, with Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey and Anthony Everett, their top 3 cornerbacks all hurt. There are issues with Baltimore. But if Pittsburgh wins the game tonight, they're live going into Week 17. And I know it requires an Indy loss, but if Pittsburgh wins, they're live. And that makes me think that this number may be a little bit high. So if you like the Steelers tonight, I'd make 2 bets on Pittsburgh, not 1. Bet the Steelers find a 2.5 and lay the 2.5 at Pittsburgh for today. And then take a +4. If you shop around, you can find a +4.5 with Pittsburgh for next week. If Pittsburgh wins tonight, I think this number will be a good notch or 2 lower.
4 games left on the opening line report. We have no Monday night football game next week, so all 4 of these games on Sunday. Next game up here, Teddy, Cincinnati at Cleveland, 42 being the total. Cleveland Browns -3 home favorites. There is a -2.5, even a -1.5 offshore. Teddy, of course, limited marketplace with the Browns playing tonight in Monday Night Football. Throw it over to you, Cincinnati at Cleveland.
Sure. Look headline was Cleveland -1.5 and 46. My powering numbers, the Bengals -2.5. Cleveland's been eliminated already. Cincinnati, however, just clinched the division title for a team that, and in remarkable and dramatic fashion, a heck of a game, rallying from behind, bizarre coaching decisions in the final minute that ends up working out in Cincy's favor. We'll have to see how the Bengals approach this contest. From the betting market's early indicators, they expect Cincy to be sitting some guys. That's the only reason Cleveland will be favored here. Like I said, my powering number as the Bengals as the chalk. And we don't know that for fact yet. I don't believe. I haven't seen anything in that regard. So you do want to be aware that Cincy, a decent chance they're going to be resting guys. By the way, the Bengals now, worst to first, from last place to first place in the AFC North, 17 of the last 19 seasons, in which at least one team finished in first place the year after finishing last place in their division. You had the Bengals to win the AFC North. You had a nice moneymaker yesterday, 20-1, 25-1 before the season. Good for you if you cashed that ticket.
Yeah, good stuff, guys. This is the NFL Opening Line Report each and every Monday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Check out Teddy Covers and myself, Drew Martin, on wagertalk.com. We got Teddy Covers 75% college hoops run since December 20th. His 5% big ticket plays really hot right now. Actually, since 17-6, 74% since September of 2020. And of course, NFL guys, over 450 plays going back to week 1, 2015. He is hitting 56% winners in the NFL. That's long-term there, 56% in the NFL. Catch them each and every Monday morning right here on the Opening Line Report. 3 games left, Teddy. Seattle at Arizona, 48 being the total. We're seeing the Cardinals minus 6.5-point home favorites, 4:25 Eastern, 1:25 Pacific kick here. Seahawks at Cardinals, Teddy.
A look ahead line, Arizona -5 and 46.5. My powering number is Arizona -6. The markets are at 6.5, but I'm not seeing any indication that it's going up to 7. Seahawks certainly didn't. They played great. Admittedly, it was the Lions yesterday, but watching Russell Wilson with a decent running game, you're like, man, if they'd have found a running game after Marshawn Lynch, how many more title games would they? How many more Super Bowls would they have played for? Penny was a monster yesterday in the offensive line. It was only the 5th 50-point game in franchise history, first since 2012. Pete Carroll, when we're really at our best, we're at our most balanced. It may be hard to get excited about it, whatever. I don't care. It's a great way to play this ball game. Seattle hasn't shown anything. They've been out of the playoff hunt for some time, and they're still fighting like they mean it. It's a divisional game. I'm not expecting anything. It's hard to match a 50-point game at home. Just ask Dallas. It's hard to do it 2 weeks in a row. That being said, Seattle's not we're going to sit guys. We're going to lay, this is a meaningless contest. Seattle's coming to play from all indications. Arizona came to play against Dallas after a 3-game skid, a turnover-free showing against a team that led the NFL in takeaways. Kyler Murray, we got Seahawks next week, divisional game at home. The guys will be ready to play. But, offensively, without DeAndre Hopkins and without James Conner, this offense has been real dicey. They got to 25 yesterday. This is the second time in 7 games they scored 24+. And that only came thanks to a fake punt. So the margin's not easy for the Cardinals to come by in recent contests. That may well be a factor in this ball.
Last afternoon kick here, guys. Next up in the NFC West, San Francisco 49ers, LA Rams, 44.5 being the total. We're seeing the Rams -5 in the hook. Home favorites here. There is a -5 out at DraftKings, Teddy. We're seeing 49ers at the Rams in SoFi. What are we thinking here?
Yeah, San Fran wins and they're in. LA has already clinched a playoff spot, but not the division. So there's certainly some intrigue in this one. Look ahead line here. LA -6.5, 44.5. My powering numbers are Rams -only 3 in that contest. Look, the Rams are now 5-0 their last 5 games. They outgained Baltimore by 2 yards per play. They executed in the red zone. They put, they scored touchdowns when they had a chance. Sean McVay, when we had to have it, Stafford made big throw after big throw in a clutch situation. That's what great players do. And yet, hard for me to trust Matthew Stafford. He made a bunch of dicey throws in that ballgame. Turned the ball over. We talk about OBJ. OBJ's got one career playoff game with 28 receiving yards, and the Giants lost that game 38-13. They won this game yesterday only because of a terrible throw before halftime that the Rams were able to intercept and then set themselves up for a touchdown before the break, which allowed them to come back and steal the 1-point win. Have to see who starts at quarterback for San Fran. Trey Lance was pretty rough yesterday. And Shanahan didn't adjust the play calling. It was like they were down 4 in the third quarter. You have a rookie QB, and you do a 4th and 1 deep throw, which, it just baffled me. That's how you lost the Super Bowl 28-3, brah. But Shanahan, some lessons, pretty hard to learn. After the game, quote, "It's pretty simple for us. I think our playoffs, this is our playoffs. I kind of thought that going into this game that they started today because I had a feeling it was going to go like that, and it did. So we got our second playoff game next week." San Fran's talking the talk in that regard. Jimmy G, if Jimmy G plays, and I don't know that he will, obviously with a thumb injury, but if he does play, we will see San Francisco money. Trey Lance is still a rookie QB. against a pretty good D. So the quarterback situation for San Fran is likely to affect this number more than any other factor. And again, of course, the 49ers should go into that game with a win and you're in scenario. The Saints will have played already, and San Fran may not have to win to be in.
Teddy, we got one game left, and it's a good one. Guys, feel free to shout out any questions in the chat box right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Any questions in the replies, any comments, feel free. If you're watching on replay, that works too. Teddy and I will be in throughout the week answering any questions, kind of scumming it up with you guys in the reply section on YouTube, Wager Talk YouTube. But feel free, guys, if you're watching live in the chat box to fire out any questions. Teddy, last game on the card Sunday night. It's the best game here. Winning, you're in. LA Chargers at the Las Vegas Raiders. This is going to be a tough ticket to get here. Allegiant Stadium, South Las Vegas Strip. We're seeing -3. That's the Chargers as the road favorite, Teddy. 48.5 being the total. Chargers, Raiders, winning, you're in. What are we thinking in the desert, Teddy?
Real quick, I got to let you guys know we're seeing money come for Dallas. Right now, the money's coming in on the Cowboys against the Eagles on Saturday. If you like the Cowboys, this is a run, don't walk to the betting window. That line is going through the roof as we speak. I didn't see any info posted yet as to why, but nonetheless, the money pouring in on Dallas right now. Again, my powering number, that was a 3.5 as a look ahead, and a 2.5 is my powering number. And the markets are moving to 5 as we speak. Look ahead line here, Chargers -2.5, 47.5. My powering number, only the Chargers -1.5. The markets 2.5/3. I'm not getting the sense that we're going to see a bevy of Raiders money. Look, the Raiders have two issues. Their red zone offense has been dicey, and the red zone defense has been dicey. They were able, they lost a touchdown on a replay reversal. They lost a touchdown on a really fluke play that should have been interception. They committed the only turnovers of the game. And for the 5th time this year, they had a walk-off win. Carr, 29 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter overtime. And yet, Carr, we're finding a way to do it because we have the right kind of guys. There's never been a doubt. There's never a finger pointed at this or that, at this coach or not there, and not this kind. Nobody cares. We have a bunch of guys to believe that and just keep going. I've been impressed with the Raiders in recent week. I cashed in with them yesterday. But the Chargers are the better of these two teams. Probably on both sides of the football, certainly on the offensive side of the football. I don't know about the defense. That Raiders pass rush has been really good in recent weeks. But, Justin Herbert's good and Carr's just okay. Brandon Staley, we're talking about these must-win games. The longer we're here, more people will realize every week is going to feel like this coming week. Worth noting, Herbert broke Phillip Rivers' franchise record, Dan Fouts' franchise record, in the fastest player to reach 800 career completions at 31 games, the second youngest player in league history to get to 65 touchdown passes. And oh, by the way, the defense snapped a 10-game streak of allowing at least 21 points, held the Broncos' good running game to 81 yards on the ground. These are positive signs for LA. And again, there's still some 2.5s out there. It feels like a split. It feels like a 2.75 right now. I can't make a clear indicator as to where it's going to settle at 2.5 or settle at 3. When you have those situations, you like the Chargers, lay 2.5 right now. You like the Raiders, take a +3 right now. And that way you're not wondering which way the line's going to move. You're locked in at what could end up being the best of the number. Good game.
Yeah, great game to end it here. Probably the best game of the Las Vegas Raiders history, Teddy. We do have Joe in the chat box saying, to be fair, Drew, there is a scenario or two where the Raiders or Chargers lose and still get in. Sorry about that, Joe, if that is the case. It might not just be winner you're in, Teddy. I might have had that wrong.
This is the scenario, okay? If the Colts lose to the Jaguars, if Indy loses to Jacksonville, there's, 16-point favorites in that game. And
yeah, it's a big
the Raiders and Chargers tie, the Raiders and Chargers both get in. That's the scenario. It's a Raider-Charger tie and a Colts loss. So not to say that it's not it. So you're saying there's a chance? There's a chance.
Yeah, really.
But it's a slim chance. That would be fun if that's a tie. If that game goes to overtime and you're like, the tie they both get in. What's the motivation?
Gosh, could you imagine that? Like the two head coaches, signaling each other like, hey, if we tie, we both get in at the end. I don't know if they have a relationship like that, but it could happen, Teddy. That would be wild ending for an NFL season. Oh, man. Good stuff, Teddy.
Colts
hey, we did have
to lose.
Yeah,
first.
go ahead.
The Colts did.
Okay.
And
I couldn't imagine that actually happening. That would be a wild scene in Las Vegas, but fun to think about here, Teddy. We did have one question earlier in terms of, hey, COVID and COVID-19, are you waiting longer in the week to kind of get the most information possible to make your bets? Or are you firing away thinking, hey, COVID could help or hurt, Teddy? How is this affecting your handicap in week 18?
So it messed me up last week, cost me a winner on Philly. Because I waited,
Yeah.
and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I could have had Eagles minus 3.5, and they ended up winning by 4, and they ended up closing. I released at 4.5. I bet them 4.5, and they ended up winning by 6. They ended up closing 6, and they only won by 3. No, by 4. Which had I gotten them early and released them early, I would have gotten the clients, and I would have won on that. So that certainly no fun when that happens. I like to put out games early, but in this time frame, I just don't feel real comfortable with it. I haven't put out a whole lot of NFL during the week. Normally, I'll make sure everything's posted by Friday morning. In the last 2 weeks, I posted stuff on, I've been posting on Saturday. The 1 week I posted on Sunday morning 2 weeks ago. So we'll see how it plays out. But yes, it is definitely affecting my timing. I'm definitely making fewer bets earlier in the week than I would have were we not in a national COVID meltdown right now.
Absolutely, Teddy. And one thing to add here, guys, if you're in the contest, the super contest, circa contest, golden nugget contest, one thing I would recommend, and I'm doing personally, guys, is waiting as long as possible for all the COVID-19, because you can take advantage of kind of the stale lines, which I've done a couple times. With the Packers last night, Teddy, you could get the Packers minus 6 in the contest. They went off 12.5. That's just kind of free value there, as long as you're waiting for the contest to enter your picks.
Yeah, certainly at this stage, throughout the course of the year, if you're in any of these contests, the later that you can put your picks in, the better off you are. The more flexibility you have, you're not locked into plays. We talk about, Las Vegas Chris, who's as good a contest player as there is. All right. He always talks about, I don't go in with preconceived notions. I'm following the markets. I'm trying to take advantage of, of unique situations as they present themselves, even if it doesn't show up until Saturday morning. Yes, for contest players, and this is obviously a huge week for contest players, take every second that you have to analyze your info.
Absolutely. He's Teddy Covers. Check him out. WagerTalkSportsMemo.com. 56% since 2015. Hot with the 5%. Check it. Look out for those guys on the website. But Teddy, throw it over to you. Great show as always. Love the analysis, man. Any final words here before we shut this down?
I got nothing today, man. I got a bunch of work to do. We got here we are. We're in January. Well, happy 2022, everyone. And like I said at the top of the show, we'll do it again throughout the postseason and beyond. The opening line report is a fixture on a Monday morning here in the Pacific time for you back east. A fixture for your Monday just after lunch. We really appreciate you guys stopping by. And again, I will get into the comments this week. So any questions that you have, please leave them on YouTube, and I'll get there and answer them for you. Thanks.
He's Teddy Covers. I'm Drew Martin. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Please smash that like button. Feel free to reply below if you're watching on replay. Huge shout out to the chat box. Like always, guys, we'll be back next Monday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Come join us on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. For Teddy Covers, I'm Drew Martin. Best of luck with your bets. We'll talk next week.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at wagertalk.com, and all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.